which was the Lucha Brothers facing the Young Bucks in a cage for the World Tag Team Championships over at AEW.
Now, I'm a bit careful on what I'm going to say here. I agree with some of the commentary I have seen on this, that it was nothing short of a spot fest. And some people are saying it was the greatest cage match ever.
Oh, that's a big call. That's a big call.
There's been a lot on, on social media and Facebook and all of that. The greatest. Look, it was a very, very good match. Let's not take anything away from that. It was a bloody good match, sensationally good match. But it really was a spot fest.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. It was. Anthony, what do you reckon?
With the Young Bucks, I personally don't see the hype around them. Even Manson doesn't either. I just don't understand why. Like, I even got a note here. How did the Young Bucks get unlimited time? But whereas if you look at the 3 matches prior, there was a 60-minute time limit. There was a X amount of time limit, but the Young Bucks get unlimited.
Yeah.
Time's a bit irrelevant, mate, because they'll introduce it as that, but they, you don't go X amount of minutes. Look, I thought it was a great match. I love the spot where they, from the very, very top of the cage, it was sort of a Jimmy Snuka type thing. I didn't mind bits and pieces like that, and I thought that was good, but it was, dare I use the word, it was probably just a little bit too choreographed.
Yeah, look, it was a real indie spot fest as far as a match. It really was. And watching it, look, I'm going to say this right now. The four people working in this match are brilliant athletes.
Yes.
Brilliant performers, but none of them are pro wrestlers. Not one of them are pro wrestler. And I'll explain to you why I say this right now. Is a pro wrestler will understand that you're there to entertain the crowd and move the show in a forward direction. So your match, wherever it is on a card, you need to understand that you are there to keep propelling that show forward. So as a professional, you will hold back on some stuff that you may do in a show to make sure that card gets to the main event and the main event goes off big. And everyone in the show gets the pop, right? When you're dealing with indie guys that have a pure indie mentality, they will throw everything they've got in their match and leave absolutely nothing for anybody else left behind. Now, by the way they booked the card, I think they sort of figured that was going to happen, and that's why they put the next match on, right? Which we'll go into that in a minute. But athletically, I think you might get 4 better guys in the ring athletically. But I don't think either one of them have a real brain of what wrestling is meant to be. The thing that killed me on this match, I look, for athleticism, I gave it 7 out of 10, right? And the guys, but when you take a Canadian destroyer from the top rope and kick out, and then the finisher is a sit-out, almost like a sit-out bomb, and they take a 3 count on it, 1, 2, 3. I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe the guy kicked out off the top rope Canadian destroyer. And that's all about, and I will dare say it, oh, I want to get all my spots in because my mum's in the audience watching. That's an indie attitude of wrestlers, right? At that level, there shouldn't be that. At that level, it should be fully professional. I mean, it's some indie spot show where you're getting a hot dog and that's your payment. I'll go out there and break your neck if you want. You want to get all your spots in so your mum's in the audience watching. The booker should tell him not to do that. But, but at that level of professionalism, the Young Bucks are not professional in that point, and they never have been and they never will be, because once again, it's all about, oh, Mum, I want to get all my spots in, and that's what it is. That's the Young Bucks right there.
They had the makings of being the match of the show.
Oh, for sure. If they were clever.
You had all the ingredients to make that a brilliant, brilliant match. I'm not saying it wasn't a very good match. It was. But with a little bit of fine-tuning and a little bit of thinking like what you're talking about, that could have absolutely stolen the show.
Why would you have taken that Canadian Destroyer if that wasn't going to be the finish?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Why wouldn't you stall that? Stop it. Hold on for grim life. Show how dangerous the move is potentially, and I don't want to take it, Hold on and cross your legs on the ropes. There's no psychology to these guys.
Nah.
I'm never ever bag them as far as being athletes, because they are athletes, but they're not pro wrestlers. They're not workers.
Nah.
Right?
Nah.
They're not workers.
Not the true sense of the word, no. Absolutely.
No. Right? So for me, the match was a 7 just purely because it was entertaining. And all 4 guys put their body on the line, but it could have been such a better match. It could have been so much better with a bit of psychology, And like I said, I don't know the Young Bucks. I don't know these people at all the Lucha Brothers. Never met them, never know them, never probably will know them. But you would like to think that they would watch their own stuff and go, ooh, maybe if I had to use some psychology on that. But they've never done it. Every match you ever see them, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but this also has got to come back to the producers and the bookers and all of that.
Yes, this is true.
And run them through and say, look, see that, and then talk about hypothetically the Canadian Destroyer. Next time you do what you said, you block it, blah, 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 and then have that as the finish or something. But they probably need a wee bit of guidance and a bit of polish.
Well, they're the bookers for the tag team division, are the Young Bucks. They book the tag team. Yeah. So when the booker thinks like that, how do you help him?
Yeah, true.
That's where Tony Khan needs to say, hey, listen, mate, or somebody needs to whisper to Tony Khan, because, that just, if you had have had if you hadn't have had the next match on and the match after that, you would have killed that match. You would have killed the Jericho MJF match. You wouldn't have got a boo out of the crowd. They put one match in between, so whoever was doing this thought to themselves, okay, I need to put something to guard this.
Yeah.
So there was thought that way by the way they look like they constructed the card, but that for me, athletic guys, worked hard, but none of them are wrestlers. None of them are workers in the true sense of the word.
And what's the old saying that we've always said, that you never ever have a booker who's currently active?
That's right. It just doesn't work because they'll always book to themselves. It's only natural.
How many times have we seen it? You can't have bookers that have got an active interest in the actual outcome of the match or the show.
Yeah, you see it all the time in indie shows. Guy owns the promotion. He's a champion. You see it all the time in indie shows. I'm the booker, so I'm in the top end of the card. It always happens, and it's natural. Wrestlers.
The funny thing, to take it one step further, like we've been watching that program on I think it's Stan or Netflix or one of them, but that Heels.
Oh, okay, you've been watching.
But even in that, it's the same thing. The guy who owns the promotions, the booker, he's the champ, he's the booker, and his brother's in the main.
It's only natural.
Unrealistic from what really does happen in those scenarios.
Well, it is. I mean, you've been booking shows and producing shows longer than I have, right? And even back in the days with Mario and George and that, they would always book themselves higher up on the card.
Oh, absolutely.
It was natural. It's just a natural thing. It's natural that happens. So it's better to have a booker that's no longer wrestling. That does the job.
And I mean, we had absolutely no interest in the outcome other than there was a bloody good match and it was a bloody good card.
That's right.
That's why some of the shows we did, and we often talk back to the days when we had Ica Club and even that one up at Brandon Park near the fire station and that. Sell out every single month, sell out standing room only.
That's right.
We were booking shows because we just said, well, what would we want to see? We didn't care if you won or Anthony won or whoever. And that's what you got to do. You got to have people that are not directly invested in the actual match. It's just somebody who can put together a good story or something.
Well said, Pete. Exactly. So that for me, that's that tag match in the cage for the belts. It's good to see the belts changed hands. The Lucha Brothers definitely deserve it, But that was my criticisms of the match. Like I said, 4 athletic guys. What did you reckon, Anthony? You agree? Yeah, or
it was definitely a solid match. I wouldn't say it was the best as well.
Some of the stuff they were doing, mate, it's not normal people can do. I've got to give them respect.
Oh no, look, it was good. It was very good.
The speed, the athleticism, you can't query them for that.
And even the timing and all the rest of it. It was a very, very good match. It was just a little bit too spotty.
Yeah, it was too spotty, which is really from that indie market. Yeah. We see it over here. How many matches do we see in indie cards over here, mate, where they're all pre-rehearsed and pre-done? You can see it. You can tell by how everyone moves.
Straight away, because boom, 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 boom. Because there's no way you can coordinate if that wasn't coordinated.
That's right. If you're talking it out in the ring, you can't do it. Nah. And that's why there's certain things that happen in pro wrestling with not going into it on this program that we do, so the other guy doesn't have to talk to him to make it happen. Yeah. That's why we do that. But if you're going to rehearse the whole thing, well, then it makes it pretty easy. But as far as athletes, they're very athletic.
Oh yeah, they're good.